What's on your mind? Sir?
For this, does it have to be non-economics related, or can it be about economics?
Anything you want to talk about outside of what?
We're gonna.
Religion and general
Okay.
politics, but especially religion.
I watched a few of the videos, and one thing I couldn't really get the aha moment with was quantity demanded and demand. What's the difference?
And there's a separate video on that, right?
Yeah, I watched it.
How many times? I'll watch it 9 times, you know.
About 3.
Okay, we'll clarify that, okay, certainly. Anything else of a general nature, anybody? Yes, sir?
Is there a specific time that the choices papers do, or is it just throughout?
First exam.
I forgot what it said. Some of them I asked for on the first exam, some on the second. Is it first?
I thought it was the first exam.
Yep, first exam. You are to submit the choices paper on Canvas as an assignment. When you click on assignment,
Sorry.
you click on assignments, somewhere there's a button that says upload this assignment, like you would an attachment that you make. Be sure that when you do that, that your document is either a .doc or a .docx. If you take it off of some of the other systems, you get an RTF or something like that, can't use that, okay? Yes, ma'am?
I couldn't tell which syllabus was which. One said that the exams were on Tuesday, and one said the exams are on Wednesday, and I just want to clarify which was which.
We meet only on Monday, Wednesday. Your exam will always be on a Wednesday in class. The syllabi are noted as either OC or IC. OC is the Open Campus online version you don't need to worry with. IC is in class. Thank you. Anything else?
You said it can be anything,
I'm sorry?
You said it could be anything, because, like, I don't know, I feel like a lot of people don't have questions relating to class. Like, are you going to go into a lot of things that aren't in the videos? Because my computer crashed, so I couldn't, like, look at any of all my videos, except for the choices. Like, I saw that you put up the first video for choices, right?
Yeah.
So, I don't know, I feel like, are
Okay.
you going to go over anything else regarding...
Big thing is, the videos are a required part of this class. My intention is that you watch the videos and you, from those, attempt the work and then bring stuff to class and say, I watched this part, but I don't get this part. So I'm relying on you to look at those videos as your primary source. And I'm relying on class to be where we clarify any issues. In a sense, it's a class reversal. Okay? You do the work at home and you come in here and we work on it. The choices video number 1 was not playing, so I reposted it. But there are 5 videos for choices. Yes, sir.
Sir, can we go over expectations, just to clarify those, just because I know it can shift both demand and supply curve. So really, which one is going to shift more demand and which one's more going to shift supply? Also, can we also talk about, when they talk about sales, am I looking at as from a consumer's perspective or as a business perspective? So that way I know which one to shift. Third one is, what do you think about Miley Cyrus's performance last night?
I was just about to say, those are exactly the kind of questions I would not. Somehow, I don't know what I was thinking about, I missed Miley Cyrus, you know? Jeez. Oh, I know, I was on the back porch with a vodka martini. So, yes, we will pick up specifically those issues, don't let me forget them. Yes, sir.
Is the syllabus only online, or did you have hard copies online?
I don't make hard copies of anything anymore. All right, so we'll get into some microeconomics here in just a moment. Any last minute things, other concerns? Yes, ma'am?
Can you just, like, in one word, summarize the few factors of supply that affect supply? Because I
There's
think
5.
I have them, but
There's 5, right?
I think there's 6.
Oh, sorry.
There's 5? No, that's demand.
So there's 5 for demand and 5 for supply.
Okay.
Okay. Let's just throw those on the board for a moment.
Those supply.
All right, what is demand? What are we talking about? When you hear the term demand, what are we asking about?
How much people want your product?
How much will people buy at each price? And what's the general rule we know? When the price goes down, they buy more. Not demand, but the quantity they buy goes up. Okay, you gotta be careful on the terminology. What is supply all about?
How much?
How much sales?
It's about sellers, producers. And it says, how much will they produce and offer for sale at each price? And what do we know? When the price goes up, what? More is offered for sale. Okay? So if gasoline goes to $9 a gallon, there'll be plenty of gas out there to buy. Yeah, we can't afford it, but by golly, it'll be there. All right. Now, if demand is how much do you buy at each price, then we take different prices and we say, how many will you buy? At a price of 4, I'll buy 10. Price of 8, I'll buy 22. Price of 10, I'll buy, 29. And we get these points. I've got them reversed here, but I think I said it backwards too. At a price of 4, I'll buy 29. Price of 8, I'll buy 22. Price gets expensive, I won't buy so many, right? And so all of these points together are demand. When you hear the word demand, put the word curve right behind it. So when I say demand changed, that means the whole curve moved. Okay? That's a change in demand. The alternative to that, and a different thing, is quantity demanded. QD, quantity demanded. Quantity demanded is how much did you buy here at that price? And if the price goes up and you go up here and you buy fewer, then you move along the curve, and that's a change in the quantity demanded. That happens only when there's a change in price. So when you hear quantity demanded changed, you stayed on the curve. You went from one point to another point on the curve. When you hear demand, the whole damn curve moved. So, what will make the whole curve move? What will make a change in demand? Let me do it in a particular order that maybe will help. One, the number of buyers. I mean, what happens to the demand for beer in Gainesville a week from Saturday? Right? Goes sky high. The demand hugely increases because what? There's a whole lot more people in town. No big deal. And then closely allied with that, a change in buyers' expectations. And expectations can increase demand or decrease demand, and that's where you got to read very carefully into the question. If we say that if you eat pizza, you'll die, well, expectations are negative, you decrease demand. If we say if you eat pizza, you will be incredibly handsome, positive expectations, boom. So expectations you really have to interpret by the case. Okay? Tastes and expectations. Or, no, sorry, tastes and preferences. If we have another Tim Tebow come along, and the Gators are beating everybody's butt all season long, what will happen to the demand for Gator hats and Gator shirts? It'll go up. People would prefer that. Will prefer more. And all three of these, they tend to work together. They're not like separate things. You get a positive change in expectations, the existing buyers buy it, and maybe even some more buyers come in. But they all work together. The last two are a little messier, right? One, incomes. When incomes change, and I usually use the letter Y to indicate income, when your income goes up, what happens to your demand for steak? You start buying more of it. That's true for most things. And so we say, if income rises and the demand for something increases, we say, well, that's normal. That's the way things normally work. That's a normal good. Most goods are normal goods. You get more money, you buy more of them. You get less money, you buy less of them. And it may not be just for me or you. Imagine yourself running a grocery store. Everybody's starting to get jobs and incomes and increases in incomes, and you start selling more stuff in your store. But, yes sir, question? Okay. Question. If you had 20% more income, can you think of anything in the grocery store that you would buy less of?
Cheap stuff.
Ramen noodles? Spam, the meat product, Vienna sausage maybe, okay. Those are called then what? Inferior goods. When your income goes up and you buy less, we call those inferior. Now, we don't mean the quality of the product is inferior. Let me ask you, is a mobile home an inferior good or a normal good?
Inferior.
Is it? If your income goes up, people buy fewer mobile homes? Is that true?
Oh, no, it's
Not
your
necessarily.
What do you mean, not necessarily?
Mobile homes, some people will like them for traveling, so when you get more income, you buy that on top of your home.
You're thinking RVs. I'm thinking the kind that just kind of sit on the lot forever.
Trailer.
Double wide, you know?
Trailer?
Well, if you want to save money, maybe.
Well, I think it depends on the person,
Yeah.
okay? If my 26-year-old son is living at home with me because he's too damn lazy to get a job, and I make more money, might I buy a trailer?
Yeah.
Oh, hell yes. I'll put it way out there in the back of the 80-acre field I got and let him live his little butt out there. Okay? So it's a normal good. I get more money, I buy them. But for some people, if I could just make more money, I wouldn't buy a mobile home, I'd buy a house. So this can vary with the conditions. But the big thing is, for inferior goods, the arrows move in opposite directions. You make less money, people buy more of it.
So
Sure.
these all affect demand and demand.
Only demand. These all affect the demand curve. Only one thing affects quantity demanded, the price. Okay. Last thing up here, a little bit confusing sometimes, price of other goods.
Expectations doesn't affect quantity demanded too?
Give me a minute to get into that. The answer right now is no, but let me get into it. If the price of Coca-Cola rises, what will happen to the demand for Pepsi?
It'll increase.
I'm assuming you're civilized, you drink your rum with some kind of cola. If the price of Coca-Cola goes up,
I'm gonna buy more Pepsi.
Demand for Pepsi will increase.
you'll buy more Pepsi. You okay with that? So we say if the if the price for one good increases, that's Coke, and the demand for the other good increases, those goods are substitutes. If one's too expensive, you substitute over to the other. You with me on that? Are Fords and Chevrolets substitutes? Ford truck, Chevrolet truck. For most people, they're at least to some degree a substitute. Okay? The alternative case is we look at, let's say, peanut butter. Suppose the price of peanut butter rises. What will happen to the demand for jelly? Why will it decline?
Because you can't afford to buy the so they're dependent on it.
Because if you want them together, you can't afford as much peanut butter as you used to buy, so you don't need as much jelly. You okay with that? What do we call those goods? Complements. The arrows move in opposite direction. Now, these are the 5 rules about what shifts demand. You have absolutely got to know in your mind and be able to recognize on a question. And there's almost certainly somebody in here who's going to say, well, I don't like peanut butter. Well, I don't give a damn. This ain't about you. This is about the market for peanut butter. Okay? So don't get personal on me.
What's that first symbol before the
Peanut butter?
Price of peanut butter.
Coke? Price of
Okay.
Coke?
Price of okay.
C-O-K-E. All right, so those are the 5 things that are going to shift the demand curve. And when you're reading these questions, you've got to be looking for anything that indicates one of these things is at work. If I say, for example, cowboy hats became very popular, does that affect the demand curve? Popular.
Yeah.
Popular indicates tastes and preferences. Okay? If I said, and the economy went into a recession, well, what's a recession? It's when basically we start losing jobs, businesses start losing customers, and incomes start falling. Does that affect the demand curve? Yeah. And if I said, well, what will happen to the demand for umbrellas in a recession?
It'll decrease.
Are umbrellas a normal good or inferior good?
Recession proof.
They're a normal good. And so if they're a normal good, where'd I go here? Normal good, and incomes fall, what'll happen? The demand for umbrellas will decrease. In your store, you won't sell as many umbrellas because people decided they'll go ahead and just get wet because they can't afford one. Okay, so far? What may help you, if you want to, is put those 5 forces that shift demand, put them on a little index card or something, and keep it handy while you're working through the problems for practice, and learn. You can't have the index card for the exam, but you can at least have it handy while you're trying to remember what they are. Then we got 5 things that will shift the supply curve. The supply curve is about sellers. Our assumption is when they get offered higher prices, they produce more stuff, and you have a positive relationship. When the price of something goes from here to here, sellers increase their output from here to here. If I skim it over this too lightly, let me know. Then we say, well, what will make the supply curve shift? What kind of things shift the supply curve? And the first 2 are very similar. The number of sellers and the sellers, plural, expectations. Okay so far? Yes,
That's what the seller's expectations, would that be, they foresee the future price increasing or decreasing, would that change the
Right.
supply?
Yeah.
Then at the time?
Yeah. If you, I own a house, and I think housing prices are going to go up over the next 6 months. Do I want to sell my house today? No, so I take it off the market. It reduces the supply of houses. If I think housing prices are going to take a dive, well, I want to sell mine now, so I put it for sale, I increase supply. So again, you have to interpret it through the question, whether it's having a positive or a negative effect on supply. Now, the next 2 are real similar and simple. Technology and cost of production. And these kind of overlap. If I have a technology that lets me produce paint more quickly, more cheaply, that will increase supply. If other ways I find to reduce my costs are at work, I decide I'm going to go in and give all my employees a 50% pay cut. What happens? This is the one you want to look at maybe a little bit to help. I'm used to selling canoes, okay? And it used to be that I had to get $800 for a canoe, and if I could, then I would produce 30 canoes a month out of my little factory. Jobs are hard to find. A lot of people in my community are unemployed. I don't care. I walk into my workforce one day and I said, listen here, y'all. I've been paying all of y'all $10 an hour. Well, I'm going to cut your wages to $4 an hour. If you don't like it, you can leave. But there aren't any jobs out there. So I've still got people working. We're still making canoes. I'm only paying you $4 an hour. So before I can produce 30 canoes, I don't need $800 anymore. I can accept a lower price, maybe $500. So my supply curve has increased. You see that? When I make it cheaper or easier to make something, I increase the supply curve because I'm willing to take lower prices for everything. And the last one is the one that's messy. I'm going to write it down as kind of a rule. This is a change in the price of a substitute in production. A change in the price of a substitute in production. We've already talked about substitutes, right? Fords and Chevys, Coke and Pepsi. This is a different kind of substitute. This is a substitute for sellers. I've got 640 acres here. And I can either grow peanuts or I can grow soybeans. I can substitute for one or the other as a producer. So, if the price of peanuts goes real high, what should I grow?
Peanuts. Peanuts.
Peanuts.
The price of peanuts goes way up there.
Peanuts.
Why would I grow soy? I can get those peanuts grown, I can make me some serious money.
Well, it's easier for you to produce.
I can produce either one equally. So when the price of peanuts goes up, here's the market for peanuts, okay? Here's the supply curve. Peanuts. What happened to this supply curve?
It's increased or decreased.
Price never shifts a curve. The price of peanuts doesn't shift a curve. The price went from this price, and I used to grow this many, up to here. So I'll grow more peanuts, but that's not an increase in the supply, it's an increase in the quantity supplied. I stayed on the curve. Just peanuts I'm talking about right now. Now, if everybody starts growing more peanuts because there's more profit, what's going to happen over here in the soybean market? Here's the supply curve. And now, a lot of these people are going to go over here and grow peanuts. What happens over here?
Increases the supply.
Now you have a decrease in supply, a shift to the left. So when the price of peanuts goes up, then the supply of soy decreases. That's probably the toughest one to learn to conceptualize and identify and apply. Another way we sometimes do that, instead of soy and peanuts, we talk about, I'm a publisher, I can produce magazines, or I can produce books. It's the same idea. If magazines are getting a better price, I'm going to produce the heck out of magazines, therefore there's going to be fewer books being produced. Not just me, but all the sellers combined. All right? So you've got 5 on supply, 5 on demand. You've got to know them, identify them, and be able to talk about what they do in terms of the brand. Yes,
So with the wording sale, what does that fall into, sir?
when I say sales, I'm talking about the quantity sold, not the amount of money you got. We call that revenue.
Okay,
I'm
right.
talking about how many did you sell. Another term that is sometimes confusing is cost versus price. When you hear the term cost, the cost of fertilizer for a farmer, that's a cost of production. But when I say the price of potatoes, I'm not saying that he's buying, he's selling potatoes, that's the price you and I pay. Now, sometimes that gets a little weird. Somebody might say, well, what about if the price of his labor goes up? It's still an input, it's still a cost of production. And we should say the cost of his labor, to be more concrete.